Okay, it looks like the snow has stopped for the most part for the winter, and we've had quite a winter, and the Great Salt Lake is up at least 3 feet above where it was, and it all has to do with all the snow and precipitation we've been receiving over the past few months. That's the good news, but the bad news is it's getting warmer and warmer. I don't know if that's bad news. That's probably good news in and of itself, but with all this snow, what about flooding? And I've asked to come on board to talk to us about that today, John Holland. He is the owner of All Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air. Hi, John.
Good morning.
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about flooding, and I want to talk about preparing for flooding. And you, as a plumber, have something to say about that. And the other thing is, John, you're a big do-it-yourself guy. You're a guy who says, "Let's do it yourself. Here's how to do it yourself. And if you need some extra help, that's what you're here for." But tell me a little bit at All Utah Plumbing, Heating, and Air, what you guys are thinking about when it comes to preparations for flooding.
Right. So the things to think about, not to bore everyone, but yeah, we have so much snow and it's all going to melt. And so hopefully we don't flood like back in 1983. But
Well, that's when the water came all the way up on the roads in Salt Lake. But just in terms of flooding, even if it doesn't come up there, just because there's so much water.
Correct. So the way it works is the water that you can see. Well, the ground gets so saturated, and there's many places throughout the valley of just Salt Lake Valley, but up and down the whole type of Wasatch Front. There's certain areas, low spots, that's that down by the Jordan River, things like that. That's kind of common sense, but there are some other areas that they have high water tables. Well, all that water, as it's soaking into the ground, and our creeks and rivers and whatnot are trying to take the water as best as it can, but it also raises the groundwater itself. And that's when it can enter our homes right through the foundation, because our foundations are not fully sealed.
Most of them, that's right.
Yeah. And so a lot of concrete cracks. And so that's normal. And so in your basement, if you have a basement, well, the water can come right through those cracks. And so
what do we do for that?
So the solution is getting a sump pump. And so in preparation, to answer your question, you can call city, things like that, and say, "Hey, am I in a high water table area?" West Bountiful is. Things like that. So if you don't know, make that call. The next is, I don't have a sump pump. Maybe it would be a good idea to get going on it sooner and get a sump pump installed, or sump pump system. That's two different things, where you have a sump pump, but you also trench the basement out around the edges.
I was going to ask, if I don't have a sump pump now, it's likely I don't have a basin or a trench or whatever. Do I have to have one, or just put the sump down there?
Yes, you need to install a minimum a sump pump in a basement below the footing. So yes, you need to break the concrete, put that in, and it's got holes in it, so the water will go to that. Now that's hoping that the water goes to it. A really awesome way to do it is then you trench around the edges and actually grade pipe that can collect the water and take it to that sump, and then pump it out of your house. It is not allowed to pump into the sewer system. That is not allowed. You have to take it out to another sump that you put in. We can do that, or
that's right,
or to the curb.
Well, yeah, if I got to dig up concrete or etch concrete or whatever I've got to do, that's probably not something I'm going to do myself.
Probably not.
And with all this drought, many of us probably have sump pumps that we haven't used in a while. I wonder if they're working.
Exactly. So that's the next place I was going to go. If you had or have had a sump pump, you've kind of ignored it because it's been all these years. It's there, It's never ever. So it'd be a good idea to have it checked. You can check it yourself, or some water down there, or pull it out. It's not hard to undo it, pull it out. The pipe's connected to it, pull it out, and maybe take it outside or not, but bucket of water, put it in the bucket of water and see if it actually pumps. And
It's
then you're
better.
like, oh, good, my pump works. That's great. And then you just go put it back in. We can check it as well. We can fake it and stuff like that. Sometimes it'll have a float on it. The reason, so you can pull it up, the float, and that it'll indicate that the water, has come up. And so you pull it up and then you'll hear the motor go. The unfortunate part is, okay, the motor went, but can it pump? Is it still functioning correctly to pump? Because I've had many of them turn on, but actually it's not pumping anything. So having it checked is key. Yourself or I, or one of us can come out and check it and go, hey, you're in good shape,
Okay, all right.
and then anyway, so you got it. And so that would be awesome that, hey, you did that and you can, I never want to use the word rest assured, but your
No.
chances of flooding are way less.
All right, John Holland, owner of All Utah Plumbing, Heating and Air. Normally, we're not talking about flooding. We're talking about air conditioning preparations with you this time of year. Real briefly, air conditioner prep.
Yeah, so air conditioning, if you do it yourself, you want to go outside, rinse the unit off with just water. There's nothing wrong with that. Just wash it off. I've got videos on that on my website. And it's all utahplumbing.com. And at any rate, so you can rinse it off yourself, then go inside, change your furnace filter, because remember they work together, and make sure your registers in your home are all open. That way it can get a full airflow. We do a more extensive job really quick, I'll tell you. So right now we have a special for $69. We'll come out and do a full component and safety inspection of the system, and if it needs something, we'll let you know. And we check the components, and that's what we do. You're messing with 220 volt power, so you might want me to look at it.
Okay. All right. John Holland, the owner of All Utah Plumbing, Heating and Air. The website, once again,
allutahplumbing.com.
allutahplumbing.com. John Holland. We were talking about spring flooding and air conditioning prep, and we'll talk again in a couple of weeks about a whole bunch of other stuff.
All right. Sounds great.